Before we start giving Dhamma Talk, we will pay homage to the Buddha by reciting the Namo Tassa 3 times. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa.
Today we have to continue the Jiva livelihoods is accomplished by energy. So we have already talked about 4 types of main morality according to Buddha's teaching. But here, when we talk about Jiva livelihoods, we have to understand it must be accomplished by energy. So we have to use full mental energy and bodily energy to maintain this Jiva livelihoods. If we don't wish to struggle for it, we cannot complete it, we cannot accomplish it. Then there Buddha also, actually we also have some story about Venerable Sariputta. One Venerable Sariputta's got colic, stomachache, and Venerable Moggallana asked him how he formally recovered from it. Venerable Sariputta replied that his mother gave him maize, geese, honey, sugar, and so on. One of the Deva from the tree overheard the conversation between these two Mahatera. When knowing that the Deva approached Venerable Sariputta's supporters, entering the body of the elder son of his supporter, he also forced them to offer rice gruel to Venerable Moggallana when he came. Then the family, although the Deva didn't encourage him, will offer foods to Venerable Moggallana or Venerable Sariputta. They are the supporter of Venerable Sariputta. That is why whatever Venerable Sariputta needs, they will offer it. So the family also offer as the divine being recommended. As Venerable Sariputta has psychic power, he could know how he got these foods. Forced by somebody, he got the foods. Forced by the Deva, he got the foods. And he rejected to eat. He just said, Venerable Moggallana, this one is not allowable. Then this is not allowable to use. Although it's very valuable, it's suitable food for him, Venerable Moggallana didn't talk about it, anything. He just threw away. So, Venerable Sariputta's sickness also disappeared from that time on. So you can imagine the power of morality. This is the first thing we have to know about Jiva livelihoods. We must not hint or force the devotees to offer any food or any medicine. So actually, when we have sickness, we can ask donation from devotees. This is allowable. Anyway, now we have another story about Venerable Tissa, who dwelt in Tira Gumba. So he was weary of journey during the famine in Sri Lanka. He was so weak that he could not walk and lied down under a mango tree. Many mango trees are nearby him. Many mango fruits are nearby him. But he didn't eat in order that he may break the precepts. Then one of the men approached him and asked, "Why don't you eat mango? There are many mangoes nearby you." He explained, "It's not allowable to eat like that. Somebody must offer us." It was actually in the afternoon. The lay devotee, "Now, what should I do?" Venerable Tisa guided him to make a juice, filtering well, without any flesh or pulps on it. Then he offered Venerable Tisa the mango juice. Although he could drink juice, his body is still weak. He could not walk properly. Then the devotee mounted him on his back. The elder, Venerable Tisa, admonished himself, practice vipassana, and also attain hardship on the back of the man. At that time, he admonished himself, "He is not your father, nor your mother. Also, he is not, right, your relatives. Without morality, he may not serve you like this." Then he practiced vipassana on the back of the man. And also, he could attain hardship there. This is the second story about concerning with the pure livelihood. Now we also have the concerning ragasic morality. The morality concerning with the ragasics is accomplished by wisdom. So among the four main precepts, this one is also important. So even last week, we have already talked about it briefly. Some people still ask me how we have to do with wisdom. In our daily life, we are chanting, Bodhisangayoniso, Jivanambodhisevami, Venabadambodhisevami, and so forth. It's just mere chanting or recitation. We must know or understand why we have to eat. What is the purpose of eating? What is the purpose of using the robes and living in the dwelling place in the monastery? The purpose of using or taking medicine. So when we can reflect with our own wisdom, we can be free from that. In this context, we have to explain four types of using ragasics according to Buddha's teaching. So here I have already listed out Teya Paribhoga, used as theft, Ina Paribhoga, used as a theft, and Dayata Paribhoga, used as the inheritance, and finally, Sami Paribhoga, used as a master. These are four kinds of using according to Buddha's teaching. What it really means, using as theft. So living in monastery and also after ordination, breaking very heavy precepts, very, very serious precepts for parajika. So breaking one of the 4 parajika or breaking very serious offense, then they could become immoral when he used photographics. It's like a theft or stealing the Buddha's properties. So we have to understand that if a bhikkhu cannot follow Buddhist discipline or monastery discipline, this is a very serious, very harmful for devotees also. So for the benefit of devotees, we have to observe the precepts. It's also beneficial for us. This is the first thing we have to know about that. Then for about moral bhikkhu. After ordination, we live without breaking very serious offense. Then we also just trying to amend ourselves. We're trying to confess our mistakes whenever we have done something. So this is called moral bhikkhu. So moral bhikkhu, if moral bhikkhu use the 4 requisites without reviewing, as we have mentioned before, it is called used as debt. Even last week, Dhamma Talk, some listener asked me, how many times do we have to review or reflect? So if it's possible, we should review in every mouthful when eating, or we have to review whenever we rearrange the robes. But when we are going to talk about the Belgian, later we have to talk about Belgian again, then we have to review as much as we can. If we forget to review it when we are eating or rearranging the robes, we should review 4 times a day, before the noon, in the afternoon, before the midnight, and before the dawn rise. So before the dawn rises, at least we must review 1 time at least. So if we cannot review, if we are forgetful or negligent, then we are using as debt. Now, what about the building? Whenever we enter the building, we must review it. For about medicine, when accepting medicine and using medicine, we must review it. The most important thing is to review when using it. So now in modern society, we have many different types of medicine. Whatever medicine we have to take, we have to review. So again, we have the next part, used as inheritance. So the use of 4 requisites by 7 lower noble persons, which means Sotapanna, Sakadagami to had a path knowledge attainment. We call 7 lower noble persons. So when they use the 4 requisites, they are using as inheritance because they are real son of the Buddha. They have attained noblehood following the Buddha footsteps. They have already catch what the Buddha wished to give. So they have a cause what the Buddha wished to give. That's why they are called the user as inheritance. Then the use of 406 by an arhat is called use as a master. This is the last thing we have to know. So after attaining arhatship, we don't need to do anything. We don't need to review our practice. That is why this is a complete. They have completely practiced the 3 trainings. That is why we understand they are master. They are using the 4 locuses as a master, as masters. In this context, the Buddha also talked about the Dhamma. It also mentioned Dhamma Sutta in Visuddhimagga, but not complete version. Anyway, now here I will give only summary of Dhamma Sutta. The Dhamma Sutta can be found in Majjhima Nikaya. So, why the Buddha delivered this discourse at the time of the Buddha? There are many devotees came to monastery. They are waiting for offering. There are many people. They carry many things. There are many devotees. Every day they have donations. That's why they are waiting for opportunity to offer. Then sometimes they cannot wait. That's when they offer all the locuses to the monasteries. Hand over to like Venerable Ananda or somebody who is authorized or in charge of refectory or something like that. Then the responsible person have to ask the bhikkhu to gather in one assembly hall, and he has to share all the donations. Then when they are sharing the donations, the bhikkhus make some noise. They have to talk. Then it makes noise. On hearing that, the Buddha asked, why is it noisy like that? Then they reply, Venerable Sir, now is the time to share the properties offered by devotees. That is why they make this kind of noise. In this context, in this event, the Buddha gave this Dhamma talk. The Buddha expounded the Dhamma Sutta, discourse on inheritance of Dhamma. The Buddha just said he wished his disciple to be inheritance of the Dhamma. He does not wish his disciple to be inheritance of the worldly good things or goods. So this is the first part. The Buddha also explained, for example, there are 2 bhikkhus come to see me. At the time, I just finished my meal. Then I just asked, have you ever eaten the foods? They may say, no, Venerable Sir. Then I will give them the foods. Okay, now here I have foods. I have leftover foods, not smeared with any other things is totally clean and pure. Then, if you wish to have your meal here, you can serve it. One bhikkhu may accept, another bhikkhu may not accept. Then the Buddha may praise the one who does not accept the meals he offers. He just wishes his disciple to be highest of the doctrine of the Dhamma. Then, actually, this Dhamma, in this discourse, there are two parts. The first part is explained by the Buddha. The second part is explained by Venerable Sariputta. Anyway, so briefly, we can understand that when we are practicing the three trainings properly, we may have pure mind, pure bodily actions, pure other actions. Then all these things will be for the good of devotees or our supporters. Then again, I have to proceed to the next one. There are respectively 4 types of purifications for 4 types of mortality. Tisana Visuddhi, purification by confection. The confections is very common in monastic life. After making some mistakes, we have to confess. Then we also have to promise we will not make the same mistake again. So the first one is the Tisana Visuddhi, purifications by confection. This one is actually Patisambhidamagga restraint. When we break some Patisambhidamagga rules, we have to confess. This is the way to purify our practice. 2. Samvara Suddhi, purifications by restraint. So here, when we talk about purification by restraint, it is really controlling sense doors or guarding sense doors. So when we can guard our sense doors by restraint, this is called Samvara Visuddhi. We can say by mindfulness, right? Because we just talk about by mindfulness. Then 3, Pariyati Visuddhi. Pariyati Visuddhi means purification by such. As we have already talked about, improper way of earning in ordinary life, then we have to earn properly. When we are searching for logistics, or when we are going to catch for logistics, it must be according with Vinaya and Dhamma. That's why purification by such. Pariyati Suddhi. Then the next one is the Pachavakana Visuddhi. So Pachavakana Suddhi, purifications by reviewing. So that is the first. Last week we have already talked about it. Now we have one example. There's one small samnita, the Sangha Rakita. And he was eaten negligently. His upajjhaya, his uncle, remind him, "Oh, young samnita, don't burn your tongue." He said very simply. That means if we eat the foods negligently, without reviewing, or with attachment, or with hatred, delusions, or with defilement. It's a burning time. So we have to follow the demands of our time, right? Sometimes we just want to eat good food, choice food, special food. For it, we have to struggle a lot. Then this is it really called burning our time. We are bound. We are burning our time. That is the first part we have to know about reviewing when using photographs. So there are also many other stories about your livelihood. Later it will mention again. That's why I will skip some of the stories. Now we will go to the next one, the first pendant. Bari Yanda Parisuddhi, limited purification. It is the moral precepts of lay devotees and novices. So they have limited precepts. For example, as a lay person, you can observe the 5 precepts, 8 precepts, 9 precepts, 10 precepts. That's why it's called limited purification. Then for our novices, we have to practice the 10 precepts, Sakya rules, also some Khandaka rules. They also have limitation. That's why it's called limited purification. Then 2, Apriyanda Parisuddhi, unlimited purification. It is the moral precepts of monks or in person. Actually, there are many things we have to know about it. For example, we have Patisambhidamagga rules. Briefly, there will be 227 rules. If we calculate including minor rules, it will be millions of rules, unlimited. We cannot limit. That's why it's called unlimited purifications. So as an ordinary person or as a bhikkhu, we have to practice. Then again, there also the Buddha mentioned what should be renounced for limbs. Limbs should be renounced for life. Life should be renounced for the Dhamma. That's what the Buddha wished his disciple to do. If we just follow our gaze without following the Dhamma, it's not what the Buddha wished. So just trying to define or trying to make our body strong, our limbs strong, without following the precepts is not what the Buddha wished. Here the Buddha said life should be renounced for the Dhamma. That's the main point we have to understand. So it also mentioned the story of Venerable who dwells in Chirakumbha. As we have mentioned before, the one who take mango juice, right? The story of the Mahatera also mentioned there. Then we have the third one, Paripurna Parisuddhi, fulfilled purification. So here, when we talk about purifications like this, so we have already completely fulfilled, totally pure. So this is called Paripurna. And we can also understand that that morality is strong enough to attain Nibbana. In reality, Sila alone cannot attain Nibbana, but Sila must be strong enough to support concentration. The concentration must be strong enough to practice Vipassana. The Vipassana must be strong enough to attain path and fruition knowledge. So this is very basics. When we practice Sila, it must be strong enough to support our concentration. They are mentioned the story of Venerable Sangharakkhita. This is the story. So he had been practicing for 60 years. He was lying down in the deathbed at the age of 60. Sorry, at the age of 60, he cannot practice 60 years, sorry. So since he was ordained, he was practicing Sila very purely. At the age of 60, he was seriously sick and he was in the deathbed. People from 12 yojanas, thinking that the elder was an arhat, came to pay their last respect to Venerable Sangharakkhita. It's a big crowd, you can imagine. Then the attendance bhikkhus asked him, there are many bhikkhus nearby. One of the bhikkhus asked him about his attainment of supramundane states. The elder replied that he hadn't attained any supramundane states because he desired to see the future Buddha. He did not practice Vipassana until he could attain headship or path and fruition knowledge. Then, when knowing the crowd of people waiting to pay their last respect to him, so for his supramundane attainment, he asked his attendant bhikkhu to have him sit. They had him, he could sit, and he could practice Vipassana. He became an arhat on the spot before he entered Nibbana, before his death moment. So this is the first part we have to know about the purifications of complete, the fulfilled are the fulfilled purifications. If we have fulfilled Sila Parami very well, it can be very strong supporting cause of headship. Then there are many stanzas mentioned here. Being lack of learning knowledge and virtuous, he is blameworthy. If we say another way, if we don't study and if we are immoral, we are blameworthy. Being lack of learning knowledge and virtuous, a virtuous bhikkhu is praiseworthy for his virtues. So although we are knowledgeable, but if we are immoral, we cannot do for the welfare of living beings as much as a virtuous man. That's why the Buddha wished his disciple to be virtuous. Then the next one, the knowledgeable, virtuous man is praised by the wise for both quality. If a bhikkhu is virtuous, also knowledgeable, especially here knowledge means knowing many dhammas, learning knowledge about dhammas. So if we are knowledgeable and virtuous, also we are praised by wise men for both qualities. Why it doesn't mention praised by the people? I mean praised by the wise. Because only a wise person, a wise man, can praise properly. If we are unwise, although it's a blameworthy, we may praise. Although it's praiseworthy, we may blame sometimes. Sometimes although it's blameworthy, we keep quiet, silence. Sometimes it's also praiseworthy, but we keep quiet. We keep silent. Okay. Anyway, whether we keep silent or we speak out, it doesn't matter. The main thing is, if we are knowledgeable and virtuous, we will be praised by the wise person for both qualities. Then we have another stanza mentioned in Visuddhimagga. The knowledgeable, virtuous man who has mundane and supramundane knowledges is praised by even divine beings and Brahmas. So knowledgeable and virtuous also attain mundane and supramundane knowledges. So he will be praised by the wise, not only the wise, but also the divine beings and Brahmas. Is wider. Supramundane state is more valuable than virtues and knowledge. That is why this kind of sila, fulfilled sila, is important in our life. Then the last one, aparamata parisuddhi. Not the last one. Aparamata parisuddhi means purifications that is not adhere to wrong view and craving. So this one is also very simple because we have already explained in the very beginning of Sila chapter. Paramata Sila, Aparamata Sila. Then they also, I have already mentioned, sometimes we have a wrong view. By merely practicing Sila, we can attain Nibbana. That's a wrong view. By attention or by having attachment to worldly pleasure, if we observe precepts, this is also called craving. For example, we wish to be praised by the wise person. We wish to be popular or fame, or expecting fame or gain. We observe precepts. That one is called Paramata Sila, because we practice Sila with craving or attachment, or expectation. So here in the sense of Aparamata Sila, Aparamata Visuddhi, Aparamata Parisuddhi, Aparamata Parisuddhi. Then here also mentions the story of Venerable Mahatissa, who broke his legs. Actually, I have already talked about that Mahatissa many times. Anyway, today I have to repeat the same stories. He enormous 40 crores of wealth and became a monk dwelling in the forest. Although here I mentioned very simply, actually he studied Vinaya and meditation for 5 years under the guidance of his teacher. After 5 years learning and practicing under the guidance of his teacher, then he lived in the forest alone. His younger brother's wife sent 500 ruffians to kill him. He begged them to spare his life for 1 night. They complained or counter-asked, how will you prove that you will not run away? Then, using a big stone, he broke his thigh bone. Then he will not attempt to escape anymore. During the night, he practiced. So they mentioned he overcome his pain, also dwelling on his virtues, which means he's just trying to reflect or recollect his virtues. If we say another way, just doing silanicity, the recollections of morality. By recollecting virtues or morality, we cannot attain arhatship. We cannot attain jhana. We can attain only asset concentration. Based on that, we can practice vipassana. We can attain arhatship. So he became arhat. There, he mentioned, I just feel shame to pass away with attachment. So that is a very, very simple. He just practiced the right path, the right way. He just feels shameful to pass away with attachment or with lustful mind. So he uttered these stanzas. Then all other people can hear his utterance. It was recorded in the commentary. Now we also have another bhikkhu. Actually, it talk about Vedananupassana. A certain senior bhikkhu was seriously ill, so seriously ill that he could not sit. And also he was smeared with urine and excrement. His junior said, what painful the formation is. His senior also reminded to be reborn in the Deva. In the Deva words, by breaking precepts, is like disrobing by disavowing the trainings. You just say like that. So let me don't break precepts. Then the ill bhikkhu realized that he should dine with the virtues. He practiced the feeling contemplation. So feeling contemplation does not mention in Visuddhimagga that much in detail. So the feeling contemplation can be found or can be learned in Mahasatipatthana Sutta. Then we can also learn in many other parts. Okay, now the feeling contemplation is to take some mentality and emphasizing on feeling and materiality. So which means he has to practice discern mentality first. Among the mentality, in every single mind moment, there is feeling. So his mind will focus, emphasizing on feeling. After that, he can also know all other mentalities. Then he has to discern materialities. Then later, Nama-rupas together, and their causes, then practice vipassana systematically, he could attain arhatship. So, here, so in his case, he just attained arhatship by contemplating the feeling. Actually, he also uttered many stanzas. His body is really very weary of sickness. So this body will be dried up. Then if we are negligent, if we pass away with negligence, then we may break the precepts. It's not desirable. Actually, there are many other things we have to note about the reviewing of asubha and repulsiveness. We have to explain later in the chapter of meditation and the samadhi concentration chapter. Okay, now the next one is Pati, Passaddhi, Varisuddhi. Tranquilize, purification. This is the virtues of Buddha, Pachika Buddha, Rahat. So that means they are tranquilized purification. They don't need to review or redo. Then we have to move to the next pentat. In reality, these five has already mentioned in our previous Dhamma talk. I don't know which Dhamma talk. We have I have already made table and just list out all the things in the table. So they are mentioned Pahana Sila, abandoning virtues, Veramani Sila, abstentions virtues, Chirana Sila, volition virtues, Samvara Sila, restraint virtues, Avitikama Sila, non-transgressions virtues. Actually, we have already explained all these things in the past in our previous Dhamma talk. So we should move to the next one. So we should also we should also know the following 2 points. The one is defined virtues and cleansing of virtues, which means what kind of things defines our virtues and what kind of things cleans our virtues? What kind of qualities make our virtues cleaner or purer? He mentioned the defining of virtue is a gain, fame, lens, and lives, as mentioned above. So we have already mentioned in the chapter of one of the part of Pariyanta Sila. they are mentioned. We have Lava Priyanta, Yasa Priyanta, and so forth. So when people break precepts for gain, that's called Lava Priyanta, the precepts, the morality, engine in gain. Similarly, faith, or maybe family or friends or something like that, for about limbs and life. If we have too much attachment to gain, faith, limbs, and life, we can break precepts. That's called defining virtues. There are also 7 bounds of sexuality. The 7 bounds of sexuality are mentioned in Mithuna Sutta and Anguttara Nikaya. Here I just summarize the 7 things. So although there are people or good people, they can avoid having intercourse, but they have many other enjoyments. They are mentioned 1, agreeing to be massaged or caressed by the opposite sex. So if we agree, if we enjoy it, this also makes our morality weaker. Then 2, joking, playing, or amusing himself or herself with the opposite sex. Again here, so we make fun, we make a joke, right? Laughing. All these things can be considered here, making some amusement. Then 3, gazing or staring at the opposite sex, eye to eye. This is also one of the enjoyments. Then 4, listening to the sounds of opposite sex. It can be singing a sounds, or it can be speaking sounds, or it can be any other types of sounds. So, if we enjoy listening to the music sung by a female or male opposite sex, then we also have to consider. Then 5, recalling laughs, talks, games they had formerly had with opposite sex. So in the past, they will be together, they will laugh, talk, or they will play games. Then later, when they are very far away from each other, they may recall all the things, remember and enjoy the past. This is also called minor. We can say abramacharya, right? Minor mithuna. Then 6, enjoying on seeing somebody indulging in 5 kinds of sensual pleasure. So they cannot, as ordained persons or as a practitioners, they cannot enjoy sensual pleasure. They cannot enjoy sexual intercourse. They cannot enjoy sensual pleasure. But on seeing the couple enjoying, or the man enjoying, or the boy enjoying the sensual pleasure, he also feel happy or rejoice. That is called number 6. Also, this is called mithuna. Then we have 7. Leading to the life of purity, to be reborn in Devarams. So there are some practitioners. They just live in ordinary life to be reborn in the Devarams. They just practice 3 trainings to be reborn in the Devarams, to enjoy sensual pleasure there. This also can be considered as impurity of sila. He also mentioned many other impurity. So they are the causes of breaking precepts. So the following factors are the causes of breaking precepts. Goda, grudging nature. Upanaha, smearing nature. Actually, these two are actually dosa. When we have hatred or when we have very strong anger, it can happen. 3, Mecca. Depreciation of others' words. But here we have to understand one more thing. So sometimes we also translate as ingratitude. Mecca is also translated as ingratitude. So we are ingratitude to other people from time to time. This is also one of the factors that can make our morality weaker, or it also make ourselves break precepts. Then balasa, malicious nature. Here we have to understand one more thing. Balasa is like a competition or comparison maybe. Sometimes we may compete with higher people. There are some people, they may say, even Venerable Sariputta do like this, like this, like this. Yes, we have to know that we are not Sariputta. We are not strong enough as Sariputta. There are some people, they also say, Venerable Ananda do like this, like this, like this. Yes, he is Ananda. We are not. So sometimes we comparing with very high people. We just make our role higher, which we would like to upgrade our role. That's very, very funny, also very, very risky and dangerous. Sometimes they also say, even Venerable Sariputta also make mistakes. Yes, he also made mistakes, sure. But he did not break precepts purposely. So that means, in the sense of balasa, we can also like a competitions or comparison, comparing with higher people. He also has sila, I also have sila. We are the same. In reality, not the same. Different quality. For example, Venerable Sariputta and ordinary people. He is arhat, ordinary people are ordinary people. Venerable Ananda can learn Tipitaka. Now we also have many Tipitaka, but they are not Venerable Ananda. Not so strong as Venerable Ananda. It's very clear. Because he's a special person. Okay, anyway, the main thing is balasa. This is also very risky. We can say many complaints, right? Many excuses to break precepts. Isa, jealousy. This one is very, very common. If we have jealousy, we may break precepts. Then material, selfishness. We also translate sometimes as stinginess. Here, material means unwilling to share our properties, our knowledge. That's called material. Then 7, Maya, hypocrisy. Although here I translate as hypocrisy, but here the real meaning of Maya is concealing our own mistakes or our weakness too much. If we conceal our weakness or our mistakes, this is called Maya. Then Satya, craftiness. This one is also actually cheating people with untruth attainment or untruth quality. This is also, okay, Maya and Satya come from Lova. Maya means hypocrisy, Satya means craftiness. These two come from Lova. When we have Lova, when we are influenced or overpowered by Lova, greed, we may have Maya and Satya. This is the common. Then 9, Tamba, obduracy. This is also a kind of mana, pride. He mentioned it's like a snake that has swallowed an iron bar. This is all a kind of mana. So here, in this case, you can also imagine iron is a straight one, right? And iron is like a carving. It will be like the snake shape will be carving. It cannot, after eating an iron bar, snake cannot move anymore. Similarly, if we have very strong mana, we cannot move anymore. We were stuck there. We were stopped there. We cannot move anymore. Then 10, Saramba, impetuosity. It is also a kind of stronger anger, very strong anger. Then mana, we have already know what is called mana, is very common, right? Conceit, pride. Then adimana, arrogance. This was very stronger mana. Then next one is mada, infatuation. Then we can also understand one more thing about it. That is like craziness. Mada is also a kind of craziness. When we are proud too much, when we are proud of our ability too much, it's a kind of craziness. There are many people higher than us. There are many people better than us. We cannot be a perfect man. So if we are proud of our ability too much, this is called a kind of craziness. In Bali, we call mata. Here I also use the English word infatuations. Pamada, negligence. This one is very easy. It's very common, right? So if we know pamada, we can also understand the opposites of apamada. Apamada is mindful, diligent, vigilant. Pamada is opposite, unmindful, forgetful, negligent. So all these things are the factors that can make our morality weaker. Also, sometimes it make us breaking precepts. That is the first part we have to explain for today. So next week we have to continue all other things. Okay, so now today we will stop here. May you all be able to practice the 3 trainings as recommended or guided by the Buddha. May you all be able to realize the final sensations and the suffering as much as you can.
So the first question is about Pariyanta Parisuddhi. unlimited
Vajrayanta Parisuddhi,
purification. Yes. Does this refer to monks only, or it refer to all lay person and nuns need to observe this unlimited purification?
Vajrayanta Parisuddhi, the first one, right? Number one.
Apariyanta Parisuddhi.
Abriyanta.
Yeah, Apariyanta.
Abriyanta, okay. Abriyanta is only for bhikkhus. For lay devotee, it must be Priyanta Parisuddhi. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Sada. Then the next question is, to be reborn in the Deva world by breaking the precept is like disrobing by disavowing the training. Yeah. About this sentence, to be reborn in the Deva world by breaking the precept, how could one reborn to Deva world by breaking the precept?
Actually, okay, we can also say another way. Right? Another way means sometimes, according to Abhidhamma, sure, if we break precept, we can be reborn in the hell, right? But then we can also say, according to Abhidhamma, we can also say another way, like if in the near-death moments, if we can have good objects, wholesome mental process or wholesome objects, we can be reborn in the Deva realms. Right? So that means if some of the offenses are minor, like if we break unintentionally, it's not really breaking precepts. If we break knowingly, it's breaking precepts. In this kind of case, as long as we don't know there's a precepts like that, it will be allowable. Right? That kind of breaking precepts cannot be problem. He can be reborn in the Deva realms. Okay, although they break precepts.
Vanami said, I listened to one Matara teaches that the bhikkhu less than 10 vasa, 10 vasa and above can be an abbot of the monastery. If less than 10 vasa, cannot be a monastery abbot. In the sutta, anywhere that mentioned, Vanami said,
Actually, okay. Yeah, in the case of abbots, in modern society we have abbots. In ancient time we just live in the forest monastery, right? This is not that much problem. Okay, the main thing is if he was less than 5 vasa, he must be with his Nisayadisha Upajaya. After 5 vasa, if he is strong enough in learning Vinaya or practicing Vinaya, he can live alone. He can be abbots. Okay, we can say it like that. But in the case of, this one comes from Yama tradition. In Yama tradition, the qualifications of an abbot must be more than 10 vasa. Right? That means he must be qualified enough to be Upajaya. This is one thing, right? Then he must know Bhikkhu Vinaya, Bhikkhuni Vinaya, both. Bhikkhu Patimokkha, Bhikkhuni Patimokkha. We also say Bhikkhu Vibhanga, Bhikkhuni Vibhanga. He must be expert in these two. Not only that, he must expert in khandaka, duties, and transactions, activities, right? Then he must be knowledgeable enough to explain Namarupas and Vipassana up to headship. If he has all this ability, he could be abbot. He can be an abbot. That is it. The collections of many, many things. Okay, we put together and mention. Okay, so in this case, if we make short answer, after 5 vasa, you can live alone. You can be an abbot, but you cannot ordain as Upajaya. That's why if you wish to be stronger or you want to be Upajaya, then after 10 vasa, you can be abbot. You must be knowledgeable also. Okay?
Next question is, dear Sayadaw, if a bhikkhu or a samanera draws Buddha and Sangha to illustrate stories related to Buddhism, does he violate any precept?
Draw me. What kind of drawing? Painting, you know.
I said drawing the Buddha and the Sangha to say a story of in the Buddhism. Said
It's the story of Buddhism. The bhikkhu draw that one.
The bhikkhu and all the samanera draw the Buddha image or the Sangha image to tell the story related to the Buddhism.
Okay, so actually, as a bhikkhu, we should not be a painter. But this kind of things, okay, from my point of view, is okay, but we should not be painter, right? If we are painter, we will be busy unnecessarily. Okay.
Dear Sadhu, can ordained person be massaged by doctor or therapist who is opposite sex for medical reason only?
Okay, so in this case, there will be many different situations. For example, wearing the gloves, right? Massage. So not bodily contact. In this case, it doesn't. Not that much problem. It doesn't mean it's allowable, right? Not that much problem. But if we have only the same sex, it's much better. So one more thing. According to, okay, here I'm going to explain Vinaya, right? According to Sanghadisesa, Prasansaka rules, if bodily contact, and if we enjoy it, then this is it, Sanghadisesa. Then body to body apparel. That means something connected with the body. For example, body to clothes, clothes to body. In this case, it will be Tunajaya. If clothes to clothes, for example, while the bhikkhu is lying down, when the back there's a tower. Then the lady also wear the gloves and top the tower with the gloves and massage, for example. Then there are two layers. Right? The first layer is a tower. Second layer is a gloves. In this case, it will be together. If we agree, if we like enjoy or like when we have lustful minds, when she touch. So, okay, this is not really good things to do. We should not. Okay.
Next question. A Dhamma teacher often looks at female disciple eye to eye. When some student question his behavior, the teacher explained that he does not have any consciousness. Is this acceptable reason for a bhikkhu to gaze or stare at the opposite sex eye to eye?
Okay, in this case, by accident, it doesn't matter. If we purposely see it, it's not really very good. We also can misunderstand, right? So here I already mentioned, eye to eye is one of the enjoyment. If enjoying, this is the problem. Actually, in this case, I have to talk about Anguttara Nikaya. Anguttara Nikaya mentioned, no? We have 5. In the men also we have 5, right? Color, smell, taste, touch, something like that, right? Then females also, they are color, smell, taste, touch. So all the things are attracted to opposite sex. That's why we should avoid. Okay?
And the next question. If a Dhamma teacher has very strong Maya and Satya, and he is hiding himself very well, we have doubt if he is able to keep the 227 rules very well.
Actually, you can doubt anybody, it doesn't matter. Doubt is a doubt, right? So that means if we, okay, in the sense of Vinaya, we must see, we must hear, or we must suspect, right? Then after that, we can say, you made this kind of mistakes. Suspect means there must be witness, or there must be some clues, or some, how to go this one? Hints, or how to go this one? We will have a clues, okay, some clues, right? Some witness or some clues. Then after that, we can say, you made this kind of mistakes. So without seeing, hearing, or like any clues, any witness to suspect, then this is not really very good attitudes. Okay? That does not mean you must not suspect. If something is worthy or suspect, you can suspect, it doesn't matter. Okay?
Under me, a bhikkhu don't have miccha ditthi, Micha Ajiva, but he used the money to build the monastery. So those bhikkhu who stay in the monastery, would they consider committing dukkata? How about samanera? Would they have dukkata staying in such monastery? And is there any way to make this type of monastery to be purified?
Actually, in this kind of stage, so bhikkhu is dukkata. For samanera, we cannot say dukkata. This is only dhananasana, right? Punishment. So one more thing here, as long as it is the 5 brahmacharya use this monastery is not allowable because he accept money, he buy properties, right? He builds monasteries. All the things are handled by him, arranged by him. That's why this is unallowable monasteries. So whenever the bhikkhu enter the rooms or enter the monastery or touch the monastery, this is the kuti, this is dukkata. For samanera, it is dhananasana. Actually, if we have this kind of problem, we don't have any ways to solve, to make it allowable. We don't have any solution to make it allowable. Because, okay, according to Vinaya, so if we don't accept money, right, the offer to devotees, for example, offer to devotees, the Kavi also asked, and the report us according to Vinaya, but by mistakes, he didn't know how to arrange. Then by mistake, he also addressed some wrong words when he was managing for constructions. For example, like buying iron, buying the brick, buying the sand, buying the rock, something like that, right? If he asked like this, I mean, purchase this, purchase that, also the same, right? If he said because of wrong usage, then this is not allowable for himself. We allowable for other bhikkhus and samaneras. We are only the exceptions. If he himself accepts money and also builds monasteries, arranging everything by himself, no exceptions. It's not no more way, no more solution to make it allowable. Okay?
The second part of the question, if a bhikkhu having asked for this panita food, means excellent food to eat, and not confess, he have eaten this type of food, so he cannot relinquish the food. So would they consider impure for him? So because of this impurity, should he disrobe or become a samanera so that his meditations can progress?
Actually, in this case, we cannot say like it's not parajika. He's just still a bhikkhu. That does not necessary to be disrobed or do disrobe. So he can continue as an ordinary person only for confessions, right? And without confessions, like it will be there with the problem for his improvement. Okay.
Live without dependent teacher once he's of 5 vasa and is quite knowledgeable in Vinaya. And which part of Vinaya? How about his Sutta Pitaka knowledge or meditation ability, etc.?
Okay, in this case, at the time of the Buddha, okay, now I have already talked about Venerable, for example, 5 years, he studied Patisambhidamagga, he studied meditation at the same time. So that is why we also talk about I have already talked about the quality of efforts and efforts. They mentioned he must be able to explain nama rupas and vipassana until his disciple can take ownership. You can imagine, at least he must be able to learn Visuddhimagga or Patisambhidamagga, right? That kind of text, in order to practice, right? Until he could take ownership. So briefly, we have Vinaya knowledge, we must have some Sutta knowledge, we must have Abhidhamma knowledge, until we ourselves can attain Nibbana.
If a practitioner, he practice samatha, vipassana, and then arise a lot of mana in him. So this mana is a akusala mind. So should he try to adjust or pay attention in his own daily life to improve? Because this type of Sorry. Because if someone have a lot of attachment on the pariyatti learning and the practice of the Dhamma, it will make him it will cause his lobha dosa and mana mind to arise. All these are akusala, isn't it? This is the first part.
So briefly, if somebody study or meditates and too much proud, right? This is the problem, right? Okay. So if we wisely use our learning knowledge, this is not for mana, not for lobha dosa moha. If we use unwisely, this is the problem. Meditation should be the same. If we meditate with great intentions, we can be good. If we have bad intention, we can be bad. So although they are wholesome, but because of unwholesome attitudes or accompanied by unwholesome minds, it's not that much powerful. So here the main thing is akusala is akusala. Kusala is kusala, two parts. Right? Akusala, the kusala accompanied by akusala. You can also say like that. Then next one. Next part.
Second part. Also, this type of attitude means the attitude above will also affect the devotees. If a bhikkhu, if an ordained person is very proud of himself and also impolite to others, then it will affect the Buddhism. And in terms of Vinaya, is there any aspect that will deal with this problem?
Actually, okay, we ordinary bhikkhu may have many different weaknesses. Okay, so when we are going to learn meditations from ordinary bhikkhus, we might accept their weakness. But this is the one that I have to remind this the question on, right? Okay, that means if somebody is make many disturbances to the Dhamma practitioners, sure, it will be very harmful for devotees, very harmful for Buddhisms. Not very harmful for Buddhism, very harmful for development of Buddhism. Because this is not Buddhism, this is for himself, right? In this case, we have to understand two different things. One is the personality, another one is the Dhamma. Do we find good persons? If we are going to find good persons, we can find everywhere. Sure, we cannot find perfect person. We can find good person, not perfect, but not perfect. For about the Dhamma, we can also learn from Dhamma, from, as you say, arrogant bhikkhu, right? Mana bhikkhu. We can also study meditation from dosa bhikkhu, angry bhikkhu. So here we have two choices. Shall we follow the person or shall we follow the Dhamma? Then shall we study the person or shall we study the Dhamma? We have two choices. So it depends on the learner or the meditators, right? If we dislike, sure, avoid that kind of teacher. Is it good enough? Okay?
Question is, can monks organize retreat specifically for wealthy devotees? That means the retreat is meant for devotees who must have great wealth like millionaires and above.
Okay, then it says that as long as the Dhamma purpose, it doesn't matter. For example, like even at the time of the Buddha, we had different grouping. You know, different grouping means, for example, Digha Nikaya learner were grouped together. They can learn Digha Nikaya together. They can recite Digha Nikaya together. Majjhima Nikaya learner will live together, something like that. Right? So meditation retreats is okay. For example, like engineering. Special retreat for only engineer. Special retreat for only the doctor. Special retreat for only the businessman. Special retreat for only the kid. Special retreat for only high school students. It can be many different things. As long as it's in accordance with Vinaya, in accordance with the Dhamma, is very okay.
Venerable said, if someone asks một chủ đề nào đó nhưng mình trả lời với ý khác. If someone asks one thing, but we answer another things, not according to the question. Có thể người hỏi nhiều. So is that considered as telling lie?
Okay, so we cannot say this is a telling lie because maybe he cannot understand, right? So that means, okay, like sometimes they want to hide something. That's why when we ask something, they answer another thing. Like in Winya we have in our Vatake we have in Winya we have in our Vatake we have so saying another things. That kind of things is not really very good. We're gonna say Musawara. This is in our Vataka. Okay.
And the second question is that nếu người chồng của phụ nữ đã mất, if the couple, the husband died, only the wife, cô ấy lấy chồng thứ hai, so she married to another man after her husband passed away, so is that considered that Kamisumichachara?
No, it's okay. No husband. This is no Kamisumichachara. Divorce or pass away. After divorce, and she may married with another man. After husband passed away, he married with another man. Is not breaking precepts. Okay.
May Sada please advise how is the purification of precept if in the past we have made mistake due to ignorance and beyond self-control?
Okay. So in this case, all the past is unchangeable. We cannot change the past. But one more thing is just make determination. That's determining. I will not do the same mistake anymore. That's good enough. So as a bhikkhu, we have confession, right? After that, we have to promise. I will not make the same mistake again, like this. So for about lay devotees, lay persons, it will be a little bit different. For about 5 precepts, for example, right? If we break, we can request 5 precepts again from the Buddha. It's easier. So as long as we don't make very serious mistake, it will be okay. Very serious mistake, like 5 mighty karmas, very serious, right? For example, like accusing moral bhikkhus, that kind of things is really very risky, very, very dangerous. Especially accusing noble persons is very, very dangerous. So that kind of things will be very bad. For other unwholesome or immoral mind or immoral activities, immoral body actions or body actions, try to change step by steps. Try to amend step by steps. If we have already made in the past, just determine I will not make the same mistake again from now on. It's okay, right?
Venerable said, in nowadays, there are some bhikkhu and lay devotee, they have some view, their personal view that họ chỉ tuân theo những lời dạy trong đó. They only believe what is teach in Tipitaka only. Họ không có tin vào. They don't believe in Atthakatha, in commentary and sub-commentary, and they don't believe in Tika or in Atthakatha. Họ cho rằng chú giải. Because they think that in the commentary and sub-commentary that not is the Buddha, they are not Buddha teaching, and và chỉ but that in the Tika and Atthakatha is only the teaching of the bhikkhu later, not the Buddha teaching. So what's the thing about this idea?
Okay, so we can understand that they have never read commentary and sub-commentary properly. For example, like now, Visuddhimagga is also commentary. Whenever he's going to write something, he have to collect many information from Pali Canon. You can find in Pali, te na hu down, vara na hu, and many things like that. So that means without reference, they were not right in the commentary. Of course, there are some controversial point about stories, right? We have to understand story is a story, right? There are some, for example, like even the same person, like for example, like Venerable Vaggali, there are two different stories. In Visuddhimagga and in Theravada, two different. Or Theravada, two different. So anyway, this is stories. But the essence of Dhamma is there. In the commentary, there are some, there are Maralika. Maralika means some mistakes in the commentary. The commentator, Venerable Buddha himself also admits there will be some Maralika in this commentary. You see like that. Right? So, okay, briefly, without source reference, commentator will not write. They may have some sort of reference from Pali Canon, especially about Four Noble Truths or some practical practice. They have many sources. So, whether we accept or not, without learning commentary, if we go and read Pali Canon, we cannot understand all the things. Even in the translation, any translator, they have to use commentary point of view in some translation. When you go and read, you can understand it. Also, if you haven't never read commentary, you may not know, right? I have read commentary, that's I know. Okay. But the main thing is, even English translator use commentary point of view. Okay.
Vanami said, no, out of compassion, con chỉ do một vị sư được đứng ra tổ chức xây dựng. Cancer teach us that if the one of the bhikkhu who đứng ra tổ chức, who arranging to build a monastery, vật dụng cho cư sĩ cúng dường, but this allowable request offered by the devotee and the kabiya keep that allowable request. Vị sư chỉ ra đứng ra, but the bhikkhu only organize, means instruct the people, the worker how to do, and he managed the thing và giao dịch với các chủ thầu. But the problem here he bargain with the contractor during the construction time. He don't keep money, but he bargain instead of, in this case, he bargain with the contractor. Yeah.
This is like a financial management, right?
Yes.
So financial management is not allowable for bhikkhus. We must not bargain or anything. It must be worked by lay devotees. This one's a little bit dangerous, right? For other things, it's okay. What about one more thing here? When we are going to work with kabiyas, or maybe for managing the bureaucracies, especially like managing money and financial management, we must be very careful. For example, we cannot say buying brick or purchase this, purchase that, or buying this, buying that. So we cannot say like that. If we say this is improper usage, then it's not allowable for him. The another thing is, we have like a exchanging property, right? Exchanging properties mean we have like Nisaggiya properties and Alanga properties. If we exchange, it becomes Nisaggiya. Dukkata property and Alanga property. If we exchange, it becomes unaliable, like that. So the main point is, when we are going to build, we must learn many other situations. For example, we have Jararupa Rajarasikkhabara, accepting money. This is one thing. Another one is Kaya Vikaya, selling and buying or trading, exchanging. We have to understand these rules. Then another thing is, we also have to know allowable time or unallowable time. Allowable usage properly, right? Then another thing is, we must, if we just manage the money, this is another problem. That's why it's very risky as a bhikkhu. If we are going to manage, whenever we are going to arrange something, we must choose the proper words, proper times to ask Kapila to work for us. Okay?
And next question is, nowadays, many bhikkhus are teaching their own words, not the Buddha's words. Many devotees may not be able to differentiate the difference. So how could devotees choose to follow the true Dhamma only and not to follow the bhikkhu or bhikkhu's words?
Okay, in this case, I just can recommend them to read original Pali Canon or Pali text. Or maybe we may have many other translations, but typical translation, for example, right? Go and read. Then try to ask them when you know, like for example, some bhikkhu in Myanmar, some Myanmar bhikkhu, they are not meditator, they are learner, they are like Pali teacher. When they come, you can ask that question. How is it? How should I understand something like this? So first, read what the Buddha said. This is the priority. After that, if some people say, you must consider, is it true or not, possible or not. For example, even Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta. I have read many books about Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta. Some explanations are a little bit terrible, very bad for me, right? Like Mahasatipatthana Sutta. Yeah, many people explain Mahasatipatthana Sutta, many different point of view. But they skip many parts of Mahasatipatthana Sutta also. So that means if somebody pick up only some part of text, not fully, for example, like a sutta, not full sutta, only some parts pick up and say, according to their own idea, then be careful. If they explain full versions of sutta, okay, you can listen to one. It doesn't mean they are truth. They are a little bit closer to the truth. So to avoid all this kind of problem, we must have many classes, you know? We must have many classes. Also, we must try to persuade them to follow the right path. Very terrible. Then we cannot do what we will have to do. Don't think about other people too much, okay? In this case, many people are not ready to accept our help. So if they are ready to accept our help, we can help. If they're not ready to accept, we cannot do anything. Okay?
Sadhu, just now you mentioned that one of the 7 bonds of sexuality include leading to the life of purity to be reborn in Deva realm. Does this include to be reborn in the Brahma realm?
Actually, okay. Here it just mentioned only the Deva realm because Deva realms are divine beings are just for sensual pleasure. In the Brahma one, no sensual pleasure. It does not include there. Okay? Because this is Metuna, you know, Metuna means sensual pleasure. That's why in the Brahma one, no sensual pleasure. That's why it does not, Brahma one does not include. Okay? Ita vata ja amehi sambadam bunya sambadam sabbe deva numodandu sabbe buddha numodandu sabbe satta numodandu sabba sampati siriya idam me nyatinam hodu sukhita hondu nyadayo idam me nyatinam hodu sukhita hondu nyadayo idam me nyatinam hodu sukhita hondu nyadayo idam me bunyam asawakaya vaham hodu idam me bunyam nibbanasa bhajayo hodu mama bunya bhagam sabba sadanam bhajemi te sabbe me samam bunya bhagam lavandu sadhu sadhu sadhu.